Now I have to say, the mystery behind Shadow's House Season 2, there's a mystery master robe figure, as they're referring to. You have the mystery of Christopher, which might be one and the same of that mystery. They definitely bring up that topic. But then, of course, you also have just the typical people are plotting against Kate and Emilico, and shit's just going bad. After last week and the pretty brutal scene of just seeing the twins not only, just force cleansed in such a horrifying way, it's pretty uncomfortable to see how they have to take care of that soot sickness to begin with. I mean, just the chugging of water, we've seen a more healthy version of that, but they decide to go absolutely torture with it as they continue to punish them, so then in return they need to be cleansed, and then they go back into the tunnels, and it's just a whole mess of a situation, and it was pretty graphic, all things considered. Now, the interesting thing about this episode is it definitely is trying to make you say, is Christopher the masked robed figure? Because based on height, based on everything that they can see at a first glance, it couldn't be a kid, it couldn't be anyone other than an adult-like figure or someone in that area. And it's a good question, but I'm wondering, are they trying to go on the nose with it being Christopher, which would make a lot of sense given a lot of focus on the backstory in terms of what the hell happened to characters who are kind of bitchy in present day, but used to be very cheerful in the past, and now we have this person who no one really talks about, but very much is important for this arc. Very well could be that person, maybe going against the norm of saying, maybe Christopher discovered the truth about the Shadows family, now is doing some stuff in the distance. But at the same time, I am curious if it's going to be a different character, but it does have my mind racing now that they brought it up, because truthfully, despite it being a kind of obvious hint, or at the very least, an obvious thought process in hindsight, it wasn't really on my mind. And to see the episode, for the most part, just be setup, be general character progression, showing that Kate has grown tremendously and doesn't simply need to rely on Emilico to be the bubbly energy anymore. She kind of has broken out of her own shell. But I can't lie, I think Oliver is best boy in this show right now. There is something so charming and so captivating about this character's personality. As soon as the whole wall comes crashing down, instead of being mad, instead of throwing a temper tantrum, instead grabs Emilico, tosses her in the air, and basically just calls her a super living doll. She's just incredible. He just loves what this girl has to offer. And while there's definitely some interesting takes in terms of how he shows affection, such as the feeding by hand, which looks like cubes of sugar, it was a little provocative, I'm not gonna lie, with how they were directing it, but the dude just seems so wholesome at the end of the day, going as far to literally give both groups of people here, whether it's John and Sean or Emilico and Kate, both get a key to come back anytime. One gets a key because he generally loves them. The other is, well, can you please fix my door, sort of a thing, which was pretty hilarious. The interesting thing is they're not really rushing into the answers of who is behind this. Why is someone being painted as a scapegoat? Who is truly responsible? And what would happen if, someone like Emilico and Kate got disposed of because they were responsible for everything, and then someone else? Would they just keep passing the blame? Eventually, that's got to bite the star bearers in the ass. What I'm liking is that there's clearly information that even someone as bubbly as Oliver won't be able to reveal. He'll reveal pretty much anything other than a couple of names and details surrounding them. But it's interesting, right? Because, one of their leads is the perfume. So, okay, let's take a look at all the perfume we have here, narrow it down to a few, and then maybe get a list of who wears these perfumes. And it was kind of hilarious because even though they're a little snippy about it, they do have a point about how, it's basically impossible to try to determine by scent who wore something, because not only does the chemicals on their own bodies, change the fragrance, you probably have to have, a master level sniffer, the same way someone who's tasted every wine in the world could differentiate between just a couple of different taste buds, right? So it's interesting that they definitely are trying to take their time. They're not rushing into a grand reveal. And for an episode that ended on, I think, one of the more subtle but I think important moments for Kate's mentality, just the whole idea that she has a lot going on. She has a few days before ultimately people are going to be poisoned and their memories are going to be full on corrupt again. So what can she do? And she starts trying to involve people who she believes can be trusted. They may have some extreme personalities or maybe trust issues at times, but she knows who can be fully trusted. And she almost immediately starts backing away from that when she realizes that maybe we shouldn't get people involved who don't need to be. And then you just have that very simple scene with the collecting of the soot, making soot snowmen, and just seeing them bond. It's something that you never would really think about, or at the very least you would think could happen in season 1, given Kate's kind of more shut-in attitude. But it's crazy to see how something that normally would be an Emilico scene was handled by Kate, and just to see how they immediately were like, what can we do to aid in this quest sort of a thing. It really goes to show that character development in this show isn't handled the exact same way you're typically used to, but given it's more of a mystery series, so the mystery is generally what we're focused on the most, but it's interesting in how the most subtle moments they can sneak in things and say, holy shit, I really didn't realize how much Kate has grown, but leave it to the show to show us that she really has. And that has me excited because I'm not sure exactly how they would wrap up this season. I have heard, based on pacing, the current arc that we're following should conclude with this season. Given that season 1, which was handled with the mangaka, the person who worked on the manga series, they wrote it and they directed it in a way that should season 1 end, at the very least it had a stopping point, but it wouldn't be impossible to jump into season 2 if they got the green light. So I'm curious to see if they're going to do a similar thing with season 2, because I heard that it does just continue to get more interesting. So I'm interested to see, would the manga do a similar thing with what they did with season 1, kind of create a new thing so that it could end conclusively-ish, but then jump back into the content if they get a season 3, or does this arc just end specifically in a way that would work as a stopping point? I'm not sure, because I'm actually a fan of when the mangas or even the studios, they find a way that it can satisfy anime-onlys as a stopping point without completely making it impossible to do more. And given how season 2 seamlessly transitioned from that end of season 1, I'm excited to see what they do. I would obviously ask anyone who has read the manga, do you think that's what they'll do? Will they create a new bit of content to end the season, or do you think the conclusion of this arc would actually serve as a good stopping point similar to how season 1 did? I'd love to know down below, because it's definitely been something I've been thinking about, obviously with the least amount of spoilers possible, please, but thoughts down below, either on that topic or this episode in general. I think Oliver has been a fantastic character, very bubbly, smart as hell, but also just is a type of personality we haven't really seen before, and I really hope we get to see more of him. And of course, there's the mystery. Is Christopher the masked rogue figure, or is it a complete red herring? And we also have to think about what happened to the twins. Of course, we know they've been punished and they've been hurt, but I mean, I think if they ever do get a second chance at living, whatever that will be for them, I feel like it's not going to be living. I feel like they're honestly going to be in a non-stop cycle of tortures. That's another set of characters that I'm interested to see where they take it. Or if, they're just going to be left off screen and we're never going to know the true hell they went through. We got a taste of it last week, but shit, man. I don't know. I'm feeling bad for the twins. I hope they do make it out, but I highly doubt it. Thoughts down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed and subscribe if you're new around here. Till next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.